Konnichiwa. Today we're going to talk about kanji and when not to use them. Some learners of Japanese tend to write very strange Japanese because they use far too many kanji. They write simple words like arigato, like this. And if you've read much Japanese at all, I think that probably looks weird to you already. Organic learners who learn kanji as part of words in context are less prone to this problem than, say, people who do Heisig and learn a lot of kanji in the abstract. But it's still worth getting an idea of the principles behind when kanji are used and when they're not normally used. Most Japanese people like a balance of kanji and kana, and you probably do too if you've gotten used to Japanese at all. For example, if you go to one of those old Pokemon games which are written entirely in kana with spaces, you probably find it hard to read, maybe so hard that you give up on it. It's just tiring and difficult to read text that's written entirely in kana. On the other hand, if far too many kanji are used, that's tiring too. And it's not just you that experiences it that way. Japanese people do too. They like a balance between kanji and kana. But there are quite a few cases where kanji are very rarely used, except under certain circumstances. One of them is light novels. Some light novels, not all, but some light novels use far more kanji than most Japanese writing. For example, they'll write mata, like this, which is uncommon, but not unheard of. They'll also write hazu, like this, which really is a bit strange and probably gives most Japanese readers pause. Why do they do this in light novels? Well, light novels are directed at middle school and high school students, and you have this phenomenon which is called chūnibyo in Japanese, which means second year of middle school sickness. And the symptoms of this sickness are things like thinking you have magic powers. I know some of you do, but these people brag about it. I know you keep it quiet if you've got magic powers, don't you? Thinking you've got magic powers and using too many kanji. There are other symptoms too, but those are two of the big ones. Why do they use too many kanji? Well, in 3 years of chugaku, middle school, you learn as many kanji as you did in 6 years of shogaku, elementary school. This means you're really cramming kanji, and you want to use them. And at that age, it seems kind of sophisticated and clever to use kanji for just about anything that you can use kanji for. So, in a way, these people are writing a bit like Heisigers. The only difference is that they actually know they're overusing kanji, while the Heisigers do it quite innocently because they've no idea. The trouble with doing this is it does look strange. It's not the usual way people write Japanese. They'll write it off to the fact that you're a foreigner, but it's not very natural usage. Now, there are some other places where you'll see more kanji than usual being used. One is in television captions, those big captions they put over Japanese television shows. They will sometimes use more kanji than normal, because often kanji replace 2 or 3 kana, and so it just makes them more compact. You can have the captions bigger or taking up less room on the screen. In Twitter, sometimes if someone makes a long tweet, they might use some unusual kanji just to cut down the character count and get it inside the limit. And some people use them for being very formal, so you might see some people writing arigato like this when they're being extremely formal. It's not the way most people write arigato most of the time, even when they're using desumasu language, but if someone's trying to be extra formal, they might do it. So how do we know when not to use kanji? Well, first of all, most dictionaries that have English in will also have a code like UK, which stands for usually kana, usually written in kana. A bit confusing because it could mean usually written in kanji, but it doesn't. It means usually written in kana. And if you see this, you know that the word is mostly written in kana, and you will tend to write it in kana. You'll also tend to encounter it in kana. Now, this is a bit of a blunt instrument, obviously, because it ranges from words that are written in kanji less than half the time to ones that are almost never written in kanji, but you'll always be safe writing one of these words in kana. Also, when words are attached to other words as a te form, they're very often written in kana. Now this varies according to the word. So for example, motte iku is written probably about as often with kana used for the iku as without it. Motte kuru, on the other hand, is almost always written with the kuru in kana. When miru is added to a word to say do it and see, like tabete miru, eat it and see, try eating it, that miru is almost never written like this. It's usually written in kana. Now, we don't have to learn all these instances. We get used to, from reading Japanese and using Japanese, when it looks normal to use kanji and when it looks a bit strange. And there's a lot of middle ground where it really doesn't matter. On the whole, if it says in your dictionary, usually written in kana, then in the very early stages, you don't even need to learn the kanji. Now, some old school learning types and ajatas, etc. would say, oh, well, you need to learn the kanji because sometimes you're going to see it. Well, with organic Japanese, we have the dynamic cards concept, so there's nothing to stop you learning the word, first of all, without the kanji, and then adding the kanji to your card at a later stage and recycling it. This is worth doing because kanji tend to be harder to learn in the early stage. Once you're used to them and you're used to all the elements of kanji, it's much easier to add them to a word you already know later, recycle that word, and it'll go away pretty quickly because you already know half of it. If it doesn't, then obviously you needed the extra practice. But generally speaking, words that mostly aren't written in kanji, you don't need to learn in kanji. That means you won't use them in kanji, and you'll never look strange, because even if they are sometimes used in kanji, there's nothing unusual about writing them in kana. In the end, there's no substitute for simply reading a lot of Japanese and getting used to when words are written in kanji and when they're not written in kanji. But this is something that happens pretty quickly, and naturally you start to see, oh, that looks a bit strange. People don't usually write that in kanji. But on the whole, when in doubt, err on the side of kana. You'll have plenty of kanji that you're learning and incorporating into your writing, and the ones that are doubtful, if you write them in kana, it will almost never look strange. If you write them in kanji and they're really not usually written in kanji in that context, then they will look strange. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments below, and I will answer as usual. I'd like to thank my Gold Kokeshi patrons, my producer angels, who make these videos possible, and all my producer angels on Patreon and everywhere who support this channel and make this adventure possible. Getting away from the old-fashioned rote learning, which, funnily enough, affects modern movements like Ajat almost as much as it affects the old textbook schools, and learning Japanese in context as a living language, as it really is. Thank you. Let's go forward together. 頑張りましょう。これからもよろしくお願いします。Class dismissed.